was completely new for the, had nothing to do with the Right By My Side bit.
That was about the original.
That was, yes. And this is where I've taken the ladder away and Tony Atkinson is Norman Conquest, and you can tell that the original script it was called Joe Smith, and I changed it at the last minute to Norman Conquest.
No, you did change the last minute. You changed to Joe Chipolati or
Chipolati, and then changed it to Norman Conquest,
most of the jokes
which was actually a footballer. Look it up in the book, and you will find that there was a footballer at a World Cup named Norman Conquest.
Up there, that was Arthur Sleep.
And it might interest you to know, because I actually wrote this script first, this character was supposed to appear before Bongo Christ, another footballer who appeared in Fool's Hall of Fame, which was actually made first.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
God forbid history. Timing's a little off here, probably because of me, I think.
Dad's back broken. The cricking sound where his spinal cord snapped in half was actually taken from Mist in the Hollow, where James fell on my truncheon.
Oh yeah.
Which is
what's the outtake? It's on every single outtake compilation at the start.
Now Benny Hill's in the background, taking over for Spike Jones.
Yeah. One of the people, like, I think you could probably count the actual people who've watched an episode of Benny Hill show on one hand, actually. I think we watched that really, whether, like, the sketch was a little bit long in it. It's nothing like you see today. It's not like two Ronnies and Morecambe and White.
I would count as one of the most underrated comedians ever. If you can find any of his work somewhere, watch it and you'll have your opinion.
It's quite odd because they mentioned him in the really dire life and death of Peter Sellers book, and they said he was a Francophile in the sense he loved France, and he was actually quite appreciated there much more than he was here in the later years.
A bit like Jerry Lewis, but I wouldn't class the French as good judges of comedians.
Yeah, that was a bit of a bad take there, because that was...
There's James getting knocked out.
They had this really bad film with Elijah Wood called Norse, where the...
You might notice that I have some straws pinned under my backside. That was a joke.
Yeah.
No one listened.
There's this really bad Elijah Wood film where they like had national stereotypes, and they make it up French just watch Jerry Lewis and...
Despite being in the middle of some, I appear to be wearing a t-shirt under my shirt.
That was the wrong Roger Lewis... No, Roger...
Now that is shoddy workmanship.
Yeah. Roger Ebert memorably said, I hated this film.
Now let this be a lesson to you, James. This is called subtlety. Now there's me waiting for James.
Waiting, road hide. This was taken straight from the original, was it? But the original was suffered because we filmed it about 11 AM in the morning, oddly, and the sun was
This film can literally be broken into 3 parts, in all honesty, and this is none of the parts, in all honesty, have much to do with this is the one that has the least to do with the
well, that film,
the Fred Audi bits are the things that link them all.
That film you mentioned before, I thought it was okay. It was only we were sort of looking at stuff to remake, and this would be the only bit I really wanted to remake. Because the rest I thought was fine. I didn't see the point in doing it again.
It's the middle of summer at this point, as you can see. So the middle of summer is a bit far late summer, so you can see all the animals aren't around, which is odd, really, because we usually film our films in 3 blocks. Really, there's usually
2 blocks.
2 blocks now.
3 in this case.
3 blocks. We usually what we did first year we had a series in April actually, then one off in June, and then another series in late July, early August.
Yeah. When I'm available, because I'm at university, so I can't do it every week.
And then
we wouldn't want to do it every week.
And in 2010, we actually had 3 blocks, which was probably too much, in all honesty.
Too ambitious.
It didn't hamper the film.
Yeah.
It just meant that the gap between filming got wider and wider.
Like this was
like the first series 3, as I call it, with
Beatniks.
Girl Trouble and Beatniks. That was in filmed in March actually, because I was off. I was going to be absent for 2 weeks or so we couldn't do it in April. Yeah. And then he's Ted Conning Ed as usual, and mentioning the Royal Swan, which links in the next part. But anyhow.
And I'd mentioned him at the start of it when they were stationary.
Also mentions why Ted never drives the vehicle.
Yeah, you see the other car in the background.
Actually, because James doesn't have a driving license.
No, I'm working on it though.
Which is the equivalent of Colonel Gaddafi saying he's working on world peace. Yeah. But anyhow, as I was trying to say, March, and then, but it was June. Late June, early July that we made the series 4, and then so this, which is part of series 5, there's Brock, the other dog. Series 5, we have Helen Atkinson driving there, with thanks to
me filming it actually. I think
because that's meant to be Jim driving, obviously.
Rather eerie. And this is a real star of the show. Stuart in the role he was born to play as Big Dave. Personally, I think that's his best role so far, but you probably disagree with me.
Well, I personally think it's Jones off on the Midnight Patrol, as was.
The original.
Just for the simple reason, it's such a he grows into the role so well. If you get
that on type. Originally I wanted to play this role, but it would have meant that because he interacts with Ted quite a bit, it would have meant Stuart played Ted, which would have been a bit stupid really, miscast.
This is a good old joke taken from where we get a lot of...
Return of the Pink Pants.
Yeah, which if Fool's Hall of Fame also features some jokes about it.
What I would say about the commentary earlier is we have the Pink Panther collection because it was only sold for something like 20 quid or something. And it had one of the worst commentaries I've ever heard on it. It was poor old Blake Edwards, and it was literally like him being prompted for all his words. It's clear what he said scripted.
This might be an interesting thing for you to know. When Ted went, played by me obviously, the man left there with Ted's clothes. Jeffrey Sweetbread, I think that guy is called. Anyway, Ted had on his shirt, James did, for some reason, accidentally stuck on a sticker that had a name tag on it. And that is just to explain, when I set up the costumes for the plays, I usually connect these labels on it so that I know which costume who's wearing at any one time. So often my room or more usually James's room, because that room isn't used as much for filming, is usually filled with loads of piles of clothes with odd labels on. And James obviously managed to get it stuck to it for some reason.
And I think Stuart was to play that part, wasn't he? On the,
Jack.
Jack, that was it, but because he had turned up, yeah, we just followed, just filming with his hand and playing it.
This is
Jack.
So Jack is also wearing one of those labels stuck on him, if you notice, on his waist.
Although it could be a name tag.
This was actually the first scene we filmed that day.
Well,
I remember
without the stuff we filmed this in a bit of Carp, I think. And there was, I don't know if we're going to do, if we do a Fool's Hall of Fame commentary, there was a character in it called Mr. Lyons Jack was going to play, we actually just refused to play him, so Adam played instead. It looked like Robert Webb in that Flashdance recreation.
This is quite a homophobic character, if you will. Ridiculously camp.
One would point out the fact that they had on some TV show the Flashdance thing of a man doubling for a woman in the actual movie. That's what it's on Robert Webb playing. It looks like
quite amusingly. This is always one of my favourite scenes with Kenny Ball's Acapulco 22 in the background. This is what I mean. If you watch Stuart here, this is what he excels at. This sort of
menace.
No, it's like physical. For some reason, a gun hung up in the same thing, which kind of suggests that Big Dave's mental problems.
Well, anyone, even like little kid, could reach that high. It's not that high.
Named Adrian Charles.
Yeah.
This is filmed up at Colton Church Hall, which is used to be the old schoolrooms, and I think our granddad, Luke Sam, actually was educated there briefly. I could be wrong.
You were christened at the church, weren't you? And
so were you.
No, I was actually.
Were you not?
No, I think I was somewhere else actually. We went to this the year before, and we had a good shooting with Prize Fight, which I did a commentary with, and a couple of other films, but this time we were a little less successful because we just were too ambitious with how much we were doing and everyone got tired.
There's me and Stuart having our usual
This
fight.
was a boxing ring last year. That scene before Jack was arguing, that's one of the funniest outtakes. So I told him to say, if I was drunk I'd be happy, and he goes, if I was drunk I'd be fucking happy. Expletive happy.
Now this is the joke here, you see, because Ted drove off there in the end of the last act. I am still wearing my work uniform there. Even though I would actually look more like I'd be welcome in a fancy restaurant than James would be. Actually.
Yeah, really dressed up for it. That's why plot contrived, that's why this takes me for the mayor, because sure, the mayor would never come to a restaurant dressed like that. This was, as you can probably tell, it was either, I think it was filmed at the end of the day when the other two actors had left. That's why that scene I was telling you about earlier, when Jack said, I'm not playing that part, so he had to film it with that instead.
I think that's Fletcher Henderson in the background, but don't quote me on that. But if it is, he was that. It might be interesting to know that he was one of the first black icons of music.
Sadly, that reveals that there is not anyone else there when someone's going to be. You might want to take this time because it seems we're getting a bit short of stuff to say to tell about the cavorted history of this film. And, yeah, well, we'll tell you about it in a minute, because we seem to be a bit short of stuff to say at the minute. I said you might want to tell us about the cavorted history of this film.
Well, it's set up, this is basically a patchwork of like about 3 films that scripts have written that obviously won't be performed. One obviously was Right By My Side, which was the gardening one, which formed a good half of that film.
Yeah, the problem with that was the lighting also, because that bit had really nothing to do with the rest of the film, so I said it was easily detached. That's why this sort of Joe Smith character, no, sorry, that was his original name, Norman Conquest character appears at the end.
This is an actual scene here with Ted with the British Army pen knife, which Ed's made. Is a slight leanings, which I covered in like some of the scripts I wrote that we've never performed. That Ed is really meant to be sort of like over the top patriot. Tim Brooke Taylor's character in The Goodies was very similar.
Probably should have had a close up to see that knife, because it was quite good actually. What was it again?
Well, you watch the film and you'll find out. But moustache comb, portable buttonhole, and parting measure was one of the few.
Fish and chip fork.
That was it. Anyhow, as I was saying, Ed's patriotism isn't really mentioned much in these the actual films that we made, which is kind of odd, really. But it's different characteristics. Like as the film's canon goes on, I think Ed gets slightly cleverer, while the dumbness is less accentuated, while Ted seems to get more and more arrogant, I would say.
Well, you were saying cavorted, this part was from a longer script called Bed Buddies, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Ed, the pre-clue to this, I would say, was supposed to be Ted and Ed working on the buses, a kind of a tribute to the film and show on the buses, the original titles. Now, here is the first incidence in the fact that every time Big Dave, full name Big Dave Seaforth, and Dick Limpberg